So, in the first few episodes of this Emma series, we talked about some critical issues. The first episode, we talked about how Emma got catfished by an older gentleman in the first episode, and somehow, in some way, her internalizing it led to troubles, especially with Armstrong being with Liberty and Manny being a cheerleader, and how that ended up affecting Emma. And then in season two, Emma decides to go nuclear, gets mad at her teacher dating her mother and trying to stop an abortion from happening and all that by Spike. And then, you got yourself her blowing up at Radish with the whole genetically modified foods thing and fight for your right, which both sides were wrong. Season three, I talked about how Emma was trying to get a father figure for the first time, and it looked like she would finally find her dad because, a lack of a father figure sometimes leads to a child doing terrible behavior and all that. And that's probably what Emma did. So that's what happened. She wanted to search for her father. Snake does the right thing by being a father figure to her and also by telling about Shane's problems when Spike didn't want to. Season four, I talked about how it's strange how Emma's pettiness over Chris being with Liberty led to her losing Manny Liberty as a friend, trying to gain acceptance in Paige's clique to destroy Rick and to gain friend group, but she figured it went too far, and then her getting shunned by the school, and it led to almost her dying. And then last week I talked about how Emma in season five was good-hearted, but unfortunately, though, Peter got to her, as Peter was manipulative AF, and Emma going out with the guy who put Manny in a bad situation. Emma should have done better, and basically her mindset after the whole Rick situation had to make sense because Emma in the first few seasons would not even go near Peter. So now let's talk about season six and the apropos title of an episode that actually explains Emma's season six problems. All in all, it's just bricks in Emma's wall. Face it, Emma, you're much hated. We know that things kinda make you jaded. That's okay though, everyone goes through them. But you have to let people in your wall. Putting up a wall is not what you really have to do. People will help you and make you overrated. It's just the bricks in Emma's wall. So we got to season six with Emma and all that. I talked about how Emma ended up being with Sean after Sean inexplicably comes back to school in season six. It was like amazing that he came back, and Emma felt feelings for Sean. After all, the feelings about Sean, in which Sean did leave her high and dry and went to West Side Beach, the feelings were still there, and Peter freaked out and planted drugs in Sean's locker, got Emma to believe Peter's bullshit, and then Peter and um, Peter and Sean decided to have a race for Emma's heart. I know that Sean gets in trouble after hitting a pedestrian as Jay convinces Sean to leave the scene of an accident, but Emma tells him you must fess up. And all that, and of course, Emma sneaks out with Peter and has a masquerade thing so that she can be with Peter. But Manny and Jay tell her that, Sean's the right one for her and all that. And then she learns that Peter manipulated her and put a mask in her locker. Unfortunately, it only brought made what the fans were saying about her correct, that if anything doesn't inconvenience her, she won't care about it. But the moment it inconveniences her, she'll snap. So of course she ends up with Sean. She almost loses Sean after he's mad that Jay and Emma hooked up in the ravine, but Emma says she needed a lifeline or something like that. She needed something to distract her from her problems with Rick having the gun in her face. So the problem is that, Sean was going to leave. But Sean finally remembered about Emma and said to Emma, I'm not perfect. Yell at me. Do whatever you have to do. And Emma says, well, I'm not perfect either, Sean. I've been through a lot of things. Emma and Sean's relationship has been through a lot. In season 1, they were dating, but Sean ruined it by punching Emma while fighting with Jimmy. Season 2, they come back together at Spike and Snake's wedding. And then Sean ruins it by going to see the candy bandits and all that and leaving Emma high and dry. And her petulant thing with Chris, just trying to get revenge on Sean for moving on. I mean, Emma was hurt, but she really hurt herself. And then a potential in season 4 for Emma to be with Sean was ruined in Back in Black when he went back to Wasaga Beach. Emma was upset. Emma all knew it, and when she said that line in season 5, that I'm looking for a boy, and Peter's the first boy I liked since Hurricane Sean blew through my emotional trailer park. Which is true because, she was emotionally stayed. Like Sean moving up, was staying in Wasaga Beach. Emma felt terrible. But that's not the main thing about season 6. It's all about, let's, let's paint a picture. JT is dating Mia, who is a former Lakehurst student, and all that. Mia has a 2-year-old named Isabella. JT grows fond of Isabella and spends a lot of time with her. As Mia's baby daddy Lucas, the baby daddy Lucas, is not in the picture. Liberty sees this and is jealous of JT being with Isabella, and so she should be. I mean, there's no reason why she shouldn't be. I mean, it's understandable. Liberty's a little petulant and all that. But after all, Liberty drove JT away from her, in a sense. JT was going to do whatever he could for the child. But Liberty drove him away. What can I say? Anywho, so Emma tries the situation. And, Liberty's upset at JT. JT's upset at Liberty for trying to butt in to his relationship with Mia. The only problem was that that's not the biggest problem for JT. Lakehurst takes it upon themselves to go after JT. Nick, who used to be Mia's ex, the boyfriend before Lucas, who impregnated her, wants JT to stay away from Mia, and then they have a Lakehurst Degrassi feud that is costly to a lot of people. So JT doesn't know what to do about the feud with Mia. And he kind of has feelings for Liberty too. Liberty has feelings for JT. So Manny, after losing Craig, decides to throw a party at Emma's house to honor Liberty's birthday. Now, of course, Manny was still living with Emma at the time because of her parents not push not buckling to her demands and all that. Spike and Snake were out of town, so perfect opportunity. Unfortunately, Danny and Derek spread the word too well, and lots of people got into the house for the party. So, of course, that's when Emma wanted to lose virginity to Sean, but gets drunk and sleeps through a lot of things. Unfortunately, the Lakers wants to cause trouble. Johnny DeMarco and Drake Lampley, the redhead, does the job, but Spinner and crew kick him out, which is great. Unfortunately, JT realizes that he might be in the wrong, and Toby tells JT to go after Liberty. I guess in a sense, JT can learn that if he goes with Liberty, then maybe there'll be no feud. Unfortunately, the boys, Johnny and Drake, pee on his car. JT makes a wise ass comment, and then Drake, out of nowhere, decides to stab JT in the aorta to Johnny's shock. JT dies out, Say orders punctured. Liberty does the primal scream, and then Manny, Sean, Emma join Liberty on Toby, and they're upset that JT has died. The next episode deals with Toby's guilt over the JT situation. I mean, he had to have massive guilt. He realizes that he probably told JT to go after Liberty, and it cost him his life. So he grows towards Liberty. I think they both were trying to grieve and trying to find solace in each other. But that's not the Emma part of it. The Emma part of it is that the second episode after JT dies, Emma tries to talk to Manny about things to do with the stabbing, but Manny doesn't really have time for her. She's got Spirit Squad, and then her mom pops up out of nowhere and tells Manny that because of the JT situation, that Manny can move back home because they really care about Manny's well-being. Manny agrees. Emma is shocked, tries to talk some sense into Manny, saying that you're going to miss your dad being a bitch to you and your mother just standing by. Manny's like, Emma, I have to go home. But she assures Emma that they'll have a girls' night and everything will look good. Emma smiles. Of course, Manny ditches Emma for Damien, and Emma is shocked, upset. And then she finds Mia and a few other Lakehurst people complaining about the whole JT situation, and Emma now has an audience. She has an audience for her problems because she feels that nobody wants to talk to her about the situation she's facing. She's trying not to internalize things. And then, she's got an audience, including Sean, because fight me on this. If Sean pre-season 6 was around, he probably would not stand for Emma's BS and would probably not allow himself to be close to Emma. But he felt like he needed to be with Emma, and so he stayed with Emma. So Emma finds an audience and, is upset that Manny blew her off. I mean, it's understandable. Manny doesn't say much. And then Manny and Damien meet Sean and Emma at the dot and have a discussion. Damien opens up saying, I'm sorry about your friend, but there's not much I can do about it. And then Mia says, oh, yeah? Well, Damien, you're close to Drake Lanfley's family and all that. You're close to him. What do you have to say about that? And Damien stutters and murmurs. Manny goes bonkers and tells Emma that she can't let things go and all that. I'm glad I'm moving out and all that. Emma, of course, is fuming. And then she tries to raise the issue up in Snake's media class when Snake says that, we're in the district cheerleading competition and all that. This would be the first time in over 2 decades that we could actually win something. But Emma is not interested. Emma says, why are we having this competition on when JT's dead and all that? Sorry for the distraction and all that. Somebody just decided to try to interrupt Degrassi, but nevertheless, I'll keep it going because I'm going to lose my train of thought. The simple fact is that um, Emma said we should not have this event, especially after JT's death. And Snake says the problem is the logistics because there's more than just Lakehurst and Degrassi. There's a few other schools. The logistics are there that we have to have it there. And like Emma's got a point that the competition should not happen on Degrassi turf because Lakers, especially with Lakers coming in because of the whole feud. But Snake says that everything has been set in stone, and that makes sense. I think they probably had a feeling they wanted to. I think they wanted to postpone the event, but because of the logistics, they couldn't. So of course the competition happens. Degrassi does this cheery thing in honor of JT. Their outfits look ugly. The song's lyrics are "I'm alive," and I'm like, what the heck? I get it. But then Emma, after Lakers puts their set on, says, go home, Lakers. Everyone chants for them. Lakers falls apart. And Degrassi wins the competition. I would not have given Degrassi the competition. Why? I mean, Degrassi put on this weird performance, which doesn't make sense. Unfortunately, though, Manny is upset with Emma, saying you just couldn't let things go. And Emma says, it doesn't matter. You helped Degrassi win the competition. They'll remember this as Manny Santos being a champion. But Damien says, well, Manny's a saint for putting up with you because no one else would as a friend. And then Sean gets upset, and then there's a brawl between Degrassi and Lakehurst. Emma is blamed for it. Emma then just yells at Snake, saying she just doesn't care because of the whole thing. And that, everyone's glossing over JT's death, and I'm pissed. And Snake says, well, everyone's upset, especially Manny. But Emma, you're her best friend. You have to act like it. And then Emma realizes Snake is right, and then points out to Manny the spot where JT got stabbed, saying it's a reminder. And Manny says, you don't have to show me this. And Emma's like, I think I do. And then Emma said that the whole situation doesn't have to do with Lakehurst or Damien or everything. It just has to do with them as friends. I don't know. Manny says, Emma, you tried to make me the bad guy in this situation. And Emma's like, well, I guess it didn't work. And then they share a hug and all that. The fact of the matter is, there's a lot to break down with this whole situation. And yes, it will have something to do with it later in season 6. But here's the breakdown if you leave. Emma was upset that, Manny was leaving her because, Manny and Emma had a bond in season 5 with Manny living in Emma's house. And of course, Emma probably putting things over on Manny, saying that if you discuss me and Peter and all that, I could throw you out. Emma has power over Manny. And I will talk about that when I get to the friendship episode of this miniseries. But the fact of the matter was that, she was upset that Manny was going to leave her. And that Degrassi seems to be glossing it over. Well, it takes time to get over things. I understand that. But Degrassi just wants to move on, and, they feel like they need to move on. The cheerleading competition should not happen. Emma is correct that this should not happen, or at least postpone it, or put in another venue. But Snake says the logistics haven't happened. He's right. But when it comes down to it, and in my personal humble opinion, the whole JT situation ruined Emma. And people are like, why would Emma want to be involved in the JT situation? JT and her didn't really connect. And that's actually true. But you got to look at what happened. JT got stabbed by a couple of Lakers people while walking to his car. And the incident happened steps from Emma's house at a party that should never have been thrown. If Spike and Snake were home, they definitely would not have thrown the party. But the fact of the matter is that it was at an unsanctioned party, if you will, when JT died steps from her house. Emma has a right to freak out. I mean, she's probably worried about criminal charges and everything. That's what I feel like. I feel like Emma was worried about repercussions to do with JT's situation. And she felt about JT's grandmother having to do with this. But when you look down to the nitty gritty, Emma had a right to um, not internalize her problems. She didn't internalize like she usually does. She was trying to be upfront with everybody with her problems and all that, but people just didn't listen to her, and that's why she got angry. And once she got the Lakehurst audience, she was like, I got to pull through this and all that. Emma was just projecting her anger towards making Manny the bad guy. And I agree. Emma's bad for that. It's not the worst thing Emma has done to Manny. But the fact of the matter is that Emma had a right to. I mean, and when she tells Manny that's and points out that spot to make a reminder to Manny, I don't think it's completely a reminder to Manny. I think it's also a reminder to Emma about what happened and all that, to remind Emma all that, and to make sure she doesn't go bananas. Spoiler alert, she does. But that spot, actually, when they hugged and all that, that was a key turning point for Emma and Manny's relationship. Because Emma and Manny don't really go after each other after that. The friendship's there. Although there is a in the silver lining, there's dark clouds. And it's that, Emma then decides to spend more time trying to keep the relationship with Manny than anything else. You could tell in the college years, which I will get to in the miniseries, but still. I mean, the big thing here is that Emma did not internalize her problems like she was prone to. She internalized her struggles after Rick had the gun to her. And it took a couple of months for her to get back to reality and all that. Sure, people need time to grieve, but Emma didn't take the Rick situation well. It took her 2 months to snap out of it. And she expects everyone after 2 weeks to snap out of the JT situation? No. She was still upset over the JT situation. And, it took her a couple months to grow out of the Rick situation. So basically, yeah, that's what happens with Emma. And then you got yourself the butt end of season 6 when Emma's still with Sean. But Sean, unfortunately, is not in school thanks to Peter and his stupid stuff. Simpson even wanted to help Sean get back to Degrassi, and Sean's like, it's useless. He probably figures that Hatzelackles won't do a damn thing about it. I think he's right. But the fact with Sean is that, Sean was with Emma. Emma was finally having a boy and all that. She felt normal. But then Sean sees some stuff for the army and says, I should be in the military. Emma freaks out. And Emma has a right to freak out. She doesn't want Sean to be a casualty of war and the military and someone dying overseas. I get it. Unfortunately, Emma did not project it quite well. She then decides, after having sex with Sean, maybe if I am pregnant, Sean will stay with me and I can protect Sean. I didn't really watch those episodes, but I don't think Emma kind of tipped her hand to Sean saying, I'm worried about this because you might die. But Sean says he's going, like it or not. Emma then does a fake pregnancy test and announces she's pregnant, but then she finds out she isn't because she just got a period. She's upset because now she's going to lose Sean and she's going to lose a boy and she wants to be with a boy. And this is one of the main reasons why I always say in Degrassi Reddit about the clinging Emma phase after season 4. She wanted to cling on to a boy and she wanted to cling on to friends. She wanted to cling on to a boy. She wanted to be normal because she felt like everyone else has a guy. Why can't she? And basically, the only guys that are interested in Emma, like they're interested in Emma, are creeps like Rick, Toby, Sean, season 6. Well, season 6, Sean, and even Chester, who only appeared in like 2 or 3 episodes in season 4. There were boys that had creepy advances towards Emma. Not even Spinner wanted to be with Emma. Spinner kept Emma stuff for some strange reason. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, she was going to lose Sean. Sean promises to correspond with Emma, and they do for a little bit of time. But Emma felt lost without Sean. In season 4, when he left for Wasaga, she felt lost without him. And in season 6, when he went to the military, she felt lost. She felt like nobody wanted to be with her, and, she felt like it was a lost cause and all that. So the episode If You Leave is apropos to Emma's stuff in season 6. She didn't want Manny to leave her all alone dealing with the whole JT situation steps from her house and maybe facing repercussions. And obviously she didn't want Sean to leave her because she's like, I'll never find a boy that likes me for me and all that. And that Sean was the one. And he saved my life from a gun. So say what you want, but I think Emma had separation anxiety. I have that too, but I think she had separation anxiety. And it wasn't really helped by anyone. So anyway, that's all I've got for this episode. I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.